Bench Opinions. Three idiots with amateur analysis.
Welcome to another episode of Bench Opinions. It's Friday.
Well, yes.
It's Friday then.
It's not Friday for us now.
No.
Yeah.
But it is for you when you watch this, so...
Yeah. How was your weekend at the Polish border?
It was good. It's that place always fascinates me for various reasons. Any people that talk about beaches in Europe, I'm always like, can't be so nice, can't be so good. Then you go and you're like, this is actually quite nice.
I think it's just weather dependent, eh?
It is weather dependent, and also it's nice that the beaches are of sand
Yeah.
and not of pebbles.
I like the Mediterranean.
Yeah,
And there's also, you remember last year when I went to that island off but I think it's in the North Sea, Sylt. That is also sand, but the water is brown and there's no waves.
Yeah, the
There's
water
only
was the water was green.
Yeah, this water was green, also no waves. So very interesting, different way to do a beach, but I suppose they can't do anything about that, can they?
No.
Other than
Wave
they might be
machine.
pumping into the water to make it green.
They just have the boats come closer so that they can actually create a bit of a...
Exactly.
And how was the golf?
Struggled a little bit, to be honest.
Klaus was smiling at me.
No, Klaus beat me by 4 shots on the first day, which is
Okay.
good. But my ego is in my pocket when it comes to Klaus beating me. He's done it so many times now. It's fine.
I remember
the-
once
the-
telling
the-
Klaus that he would never beat me in
Yeah.
my entire life at golf, and I think he beat me within a year of starting golf.
There you go.
The reason I smirk or smile like that is because Dominic and I were on the same team. So it's not actually the day that I wanted to have him fall from grace.
Okay.
We were up against the Canadians.
Well, the thing is, the day I played terribly, we still won. And the day I actually pulled it a little bit back, all of a sudden, one of the sandbaggers, Ethan, decided to find some sort of form. He made a net hole-in-one on stroke 1,
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
which
Do
is
you
also
have to-
one of the most ridiculous holes I've ever seen in my life.
Do you have to buy everyone drinks if you if you shoot a net?
in his
hole-in-one?
defense,
No, that doesn't count.
I don't know if he's put it in split-wise yet, but in his defense, on the next tee, he did buy us some drinks.
Yeah.
So,
On the tee.
yeah, there was a
There's a-
cart man.
Caught dude.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. So it was good.
They
It was
don't
good.
have that in Europe a lot, so that's
No,
why
but
it's
it was
quite
actually that
positively
whole place
surprising.
was that
They
whole
even had
place,
2.
Yes.
yeah, that whole place was very impressive. I was like, this is too nice, and people are too friendly, and there's too much service here for Germany.
Correction, they don't have it in Germany.
Yeah.
They did have it in Portugal. That one
Exactly,
time we went. Yeah.
There's already interest in booking this resort for next year.
All right.
And do it again.
When I'm back on my feet,
Exactly.
I saw. I don't think any of you by chance watched any of the NBA finals. Did you?
I did see the whole fallout, and I think I saw a whole report on the final. Which
There's
What happened?
There's a short clip of Tyrese Halliburton from the Pacers
yeah, I thought of you instantly. I thought
tearing
of
his
sending it to
Achilles,
you.
and it looks exactly like what happened to me.
Yeah.
Like literally. Except that his is the other foot, but he plants his foot backwards, and it just goes whoop, and he goes down.
I know.
And then he screams, "No, no,
Yeah,
no!"
because-
and he slams the court because he was like their best player. He had one of the best runs
Yeah.
in a playoff.
And it was Game 7.
Exactly.
And he knows this is tickets.
I think you know because of the loud noise
yeah.
that happens.
Also, if you're a basketball player, if something doesn't happen to your ankles or knees, then it's a miracle.
they've had quite a few this year.
Yeah.
Achilles injuries. Jason Tatum also for
It's those vaccines,
Celtics.
bro.
They s-
I'm kidding.
Well, I saw online yesterday because we went down a little bit of a rabbit hole that people are now blaming the shoes, and I was like, I don't wear the same shoes as those NBA pros do, and I think it's all to do with prior calf injuries.
Maybe.
My injury has led me to take a lot more taxis and Ubers though, and I get into conversation with most of them, and a lot of them sort of tell me about what it's like being a taxi driver just on their own accord. Just they launch into it, and seemingly every time we end up on that story of they all like to work day shifts because they don't like to ferry passengers at night because people are always so drunk, and I'm always like, it's so ridiculous that people can't handle their liquor at night. Like they just don't know when to stop. Little do these people know that I'm usually the one who can't fucking open his eyes in the back of that Uber.
But I think a sleeping passenger is better than like an obnoxious drunk.
Listen, I've been them all.
Okay.
The problem
Fair
is,
enough.
what I find what goes through my head when I'm in a taxi at night when I'm inebriated is that I ping pong between just keep quiet, don't say anything, and maybe I need to talk because then I'm being rude. And when you're drunk, that's not a good thing.
No.
So I either seem comatose or I'm chewing this man's ear off.
Because I don't think you realize how much you slur your own words when you're drunk, because you actually think you can still keep it together, and then the other person is just listening to a whole fucking washing machine of words.
It's like that time when Klaus and we were still at school and we got home from a little party there when we were like 17, almost 18. Klaus was 18 already. And we were staying at his parents' house and got on a few of the Smirnoff ices there, you know. And
A few of the brutal fruits.
Klaus's mom greets us at the door, and I'm like, okay, Dom, you've got this, bro. You're fine. And I'm like, hey, Karen. And as I step through the door, I don't see that the frame's a little bit smaller than I think. And I plow into the door frame. And I was like,
Smooth.
there goes my reputation. I don't know if I had one, but
You never had one.
if it was there, then...
Do you remember, I had that house party when I think I was 17, and my dad left, wasn't there. He was on a work trip, and he got the chaperone to take care of us, and he gave me so much money to buy alcohol. My dad had no concept of what alcohol cost.
He's like Bill Gates.
Ooh,
What?
daddy's money.
Woo, daddy's money and daddy's building.
And people got, obviously at 17 years old, got way too drunk. And when it's your own house party, you just end up, you're not having a good time. No. Because you're stopping people from like going into the wrong rooms. There was people shagging in my bed.
I've heard that story, but we won't go into details.
And then the one girl, her mom had to come pick her up because she was so copus mentis. And I remember like there was the front door, and she'd just driven into the driveway, and I was like, the chaperone was out talking to the mother, and I was behind the door, and I was giving her a pep talk, and I was like, listen, pull yourself together for like just 2 minutes. Just greet your mom, say you're not feeling so good, get in the car, and just pretend you're asleep. And she fucking looks at me. She says, got it. And I
passes out.
And I open the door, and she full tilt sprints into the car, fucking at full tilt,
Gets the arms moving.
whoosh, falls down, pops back up, runs around the other side, gets into the driver's door, sits down, locks the door,
Locks the door.
locks the door, falls asleep.
Oh my God.
What does the
And
mother
everyone's
say
like
at this
banging
point?
on the thing, like, please open up. She's out like a light. Keys in the car, everything.
What does the mother
Then the
do?
mother unloads.
On you.
No, on the chaperone. I had to go deal with other shit. Yeah,
Stop
my dad
people
got a
from-
lot of angry emails and phone calls
But
from parents.
that's an interesting time though in our lives, because there was, you know, some parents are like, listen, as long as it's happening in a controlled environment, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all good, like, you know, fine. And then there were other parents that send their children into the fucking gauntlet of teenage life with alcohol and are surprised that their children get drunk. I don't understand. Like when I had my 18th birthday party, there was a bunch of like 16-year-old girls that were at the party, and it wasn't even, we didn't supply alcohol. It was a cash bar.
Yeah.
And the one girl got trolleyed, bro. Absolutely nightmarishly drunk. And the mother arrives and is like, looks at my parents and is like, how can you let this happen? And my dad's like, listen, lady,
Your child came,
your
took
child
money
had
and
money,
bought it.
went to that bar and bought what seems like way too much alcohol. And now how is this my problem?
Maybe you should look at your raising of your children.
Yes, I don't think that's the right time to play that card.
There is
I think so.
one more story from this time, and this is our friend Powell there. This poor guy. Powell couldn't handle his liquor at all. He had 3 sips of alcohol and then started violently vomiting. And I think it's like that to this day. It was like this until like deep into high school and then like university days. And I remember one of the first house parties we had, this poor guy thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot here. I don't know if it was his first sip of alcohol or whatever, but I think he had a little bit of like red square. And this guy proceeded to violently vomit, bro. And the host's parents didn't know that this guy suffered from like some sort of ailment. So this mother's shouting at him like, it's unbelievable that you can be this drunk. And this guy's like at the toilet bowl, like he's at 2 sips of red square. And he's trying to like fight his way up to be like, and then he's vomiting again. And this mother's just laying into him. Yeah. I had all his drinks that night.
I mean, it was one thing for your parents to allow you to have a house party, and then it was like, usually it was just, I never went to one that got like completely out of hand with the amount of people that rocked up and what happened. Like,
like
it was
Project
unusual.
X.
Yeah. But then there was those house parties
Yeah.
by like, usually it was like those rich kids. Either they went to Saints or to St. John's.
It was one of the two. It was either the rich kids or public school kids.
Yeah, I was going to
'Cause
say,
you
I
had
only
like
know from public school
290
kids.
Oh, really?
You had
Yeah,
like
when there's,
290
like,
people in your grade.
Friends of friends that then got invited. Suddenly you got dodgy oaks there that
But
you've never
we
met
had-
before in
there
your
was-
life.
There was a house party, I think it was called Below Zero or something, and it was this dude, I think he went to St. John's. They had to have like security on the street, security at the door. You had to like buy a ticket. And this oak The whole house it looked like Project X. I think it was I don't know if they lived there or if they like owned the property, but it was empty. But the whole house, there was no furniture in it, but there was people everywhere. The whole garden was full. There was people inside. There must have been about 300 people at the house.
The parents were like, we're not doing this at our place. We're going to squat.
We were also strange anomalies being from the German school in the whole cosmos of Johannesburg house parties, because you'd either end up at these parties where you look at this ex-house and you're like, I mean, I remember going to a party once where like then the Gupta's son walked in with like 4 bodyguards and I was like, Jesus, all right. Fucking no, I'm not talking to him, that's for sure. And I didn't know who he was at the time. But then we'd also end up at like, we ended up at a couple of rough public school house parties, bro, where guys started beating the shit out of each other. And I always stood there and I was like, I'm a fish out of water here.
Yeah. I'm going to stay in that side of the apartment.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to look at anyone wrong and get into a fight there.
Yeah, which is something that's...
A lot of testosterone going around.
Yeah, also, we grew up playing all the soft sports at school. We're not used to getting hit like rugby players.
But it blew my mind because you would be at this party of like a public school kid and I'd be like, my bro, it's getting a bit full now, hey? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, but who are these people? He's like, I don't know. They're from my grade, but I don't know if I've seen that guy before.
They're big, those public schools.
Yeah, dude. Like, I think the one year at Northcliffe High School, they had like 280 people in their grade.
Yeah, that's nothing we can relate to.
No.
That's like the whole of our high school.
I unfortunately knew everyone in my year.
But then you hear some of the stories that happen at these public schools. Like we had a lot of friends at Northcliffe High, and they would organize belt beat-ups during break. And it was essentially like one group of kids would line up on the one side of the football field, another group on the other side. They would all pull their belts out of their trousers, and then they would just go and violently beat each other up.
Listen, there's sometimes when I'm like, I wish I could go back in time and just, relive some of those school days, because they're so like, when you think back to them, it's like your problem seems so nonchalant.
No responsibilities, yeah.
What your mind, body, and everything was going through puberty is not well. It's a tough story, because you come up with some really stupid ideas and can't put your feelings in order. You don't know how to properly show your emotions.
Yeah.
It's a rough time.
But then I also look back sometimes and there's just certain things I didn't care about. And I wish I could think about that sometimes. Now the little things get to me now, Back then the little things didn't really matter, but the big things were big.
Like when some construction workers tell you to get up at 6 o'clock to meet them, and then they tell you, sorry, got the wrong day.
Yeah. You know what? I think construction companies are starting to become a bit fucking arrogant because there's not a lot of them around. These, the smaller ones. And now they think they can do whatever the fuck they want with you.
Is it too late for us to switch to like a little bit more of a trade kind of industry?
I don't think it's too late.
I just don't think I want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think to myself something like, you know what, like carpet cleaning, I could fuck with that. It seems quite...
That looks therapeutic.
It seems therapeutic.
But now the problem with the carpet cleaning is people have realized that they can make money videoing dirty carpets. So now, have you seen some of those Facebook and YouTube videos?
Yeah.
Some of those carpets,
Yeah.
they definitely didn't become like that. There's like grass growing on them.
Yeah, so some of them have got like a layer of mud on them like this.
Yeah,
Where did you find that?
Where did that?
But
don't make the carpet dirty to then clean it. Don't fool me.
Don't fake this all. But it's still nice to watch. It's like ASMR for the eye.
But I don't get it, People's I mean, I remember when we worked in the hostel and like there'd be fire alarms in the kitchen, and it's the same kind of thinking as what I think people think about their carpets is people think certain things are fucking normal. Like I used to go into the kitchen at Wombat when the fire alarm went off, and there was some fucking Australian standing there with like black potatoes in his pan, and he's like, "Oh, was that me?" I mean, that was English. All the same boat. And then I'm like, my friend. He's like, no, they roast potatoes. I'm
They're
like,
black potatoes.
I was like, are you going to eat those? He's like, yeah. I'm like, he's like, I don't cook much. I'm like, and that must be the people with the carpet. It's like, I don't know what's wrong with this carpet, but it's there. And it's like, looks normal. Maybe I should get it cleaned. And then there's like 17 layers of different crust on it.
I used to have to clean the toilets at the pub that I worked at in London, and that never really creeped me out as much as it creeps out others. So I think I've got a head start on like plumbing. Yeah. I don't think I can stand in like fucking knee-high shit.
I can tell you what I've experienced now with my client and plumbing is the one day I'll tell the story. You guys have heard this, but so there's a big manhole out the front of this building of this client I look after, and there's been issues with this flap essentially that stops water from coming from the canalization. Yes, that's a word. From the street into the building up the pipes. And there's been an issue with that. And then anyway, some company came in and was like, don't worry, we've disarmed it and we've left it open so that all the shit that comes down to the canal can get out. Little did we know that when he said he left it open, he actually left it closed. And one day we get a call and it's like, listen, there's a lot of shit coming out of where there shouldn't be shit coming out of. And I'm like, okay, I get down there. We call this company. The guy comes in and he gets into the shaft. And now you must know this, the whole shaft is full of just feces, excrement and people's bodily liquids. And he gets in there and that's already disgusting. And now he's yanking on this thing to try and get it open. And as he yanks it and it opens, all the shit from up the pipe comes gushing down and goes up him. He's in like a little shaft. He's like in a little shaft. And he just keeps going, Scheiße, Scheiße, Scheiße. And he's just covered in shit.
Okay.
Anyway, and then very quickly I was, and then now you're standing watching this. You're watching this and you're like, fuck, what do I say? I'm like, do I comfort him? Do I leave him? What do I do?
Definitely don't touch him. Don't touch him.
A little bit of tissue paper.
And I'm like, yeah, that's... Anyway, the guy storms off. He's like our old English teacher. Storms off out the building, does a couple of like up and downs on the street, probably contemplates his life decisions. Come back and he's like, all right, the flap's open now. I'm going to change. And then I'll write your invoice. And then I saw the amount on the invoice and I was like, aha.
How much was it?
I think he was there for a total of like 25 minutes. And I think it was like 730 euros or something.
That's a good day's work, that.
Yeah, I'm reconsidering my statement of saying I could be a plumber.
Have you guys
I'm not doing that for 700 euros. That sounds terrible.
Have you guys seen that episode on Clarkson's farm where they have to go and like check out the septic tank behind the pub that he's just bought?
Yes.
And there's like two guys up top and Jeremy walks up and he's like, oh my
suddenly
God, that bungs. Suddenly they're like draining out a guy out of the soul.
That's wild.
And he's just sitting in a septic tank.
Oh.
No, bro.
Okay.
That's not the life. That being said, I think being an electrician, my arms fall asleep if I hold them above my head for too long. So I don't know how they do that either.
Yeah.
That's why I have an intern, bro. Just tell him, just hold your arms up there.
Talking about big pile of shit, did you guys see Tommy Fleetwood, eh?
Yeah.
Yes.
What happened now?
He lost on the last. He 3-putted.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh my
I
word.
stayed up.
Yeah.
I stayed up until like 12:30, 1:45 to watch him, and he shat the bed.
Yeah, we were speaking about it in Usedom, right?
He hasn't won much.
He's never won on the PGA Tour. That surprised me. He's won a lot on the European, but he hasn't won.
So many top tens as well, and I think he was leading by 2 going into the final day, doubled 2 of the first 3 holes, and then got it back. Had a 3-shot lead by 15, and then Keegan Bradley drained a long one, and he absolutely melted down on the last hole. Tough to watch.
Yeah.
Should make for some interesting watch going into the Ryder Cup, though.
He must get into some trade there.
Yeah. Maybe switch now.
Switch
I think the man has made a lot of money with those top 10s.
Yeah.
With his wife that's, 8 years older than him?
Yeah. Listen, I've got a lotto ticket for tonight.
Oh, wow.
I'm feeling strong.
Good.
I feel like all of this bad luck is bound to
needs
bring
to
some good luck on the other side. So if I'm not on this podcast next week,
it's because you're living large.
Don't ask me for money.
He's bought Barstool Sports.
Right. Anything else?
Not this week, no.
All right.
There you go.
That's a wrap. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Don't drink and drive.